Today is the last day of the retreat, and it is a coincidence that 10th August is the date of the launch of this book on Amazon. It was scheduled for this date, and this satsang is happening on this date. So, in a way, it is a coincidence. In many ways, it's not. These are all divinely guided. And what is most pleasing to me is that this book, the source of this book, is interviews I did with Nikhil on his YouTube channel called Sai Baba's Devotee Speaks, which today has over 120,000 subscribers. And it is a joint effort to bring Sai Baba's teachings in a relatable format, in very simple conversational form, so that everyone could imbibe them. This began while the association was pre-COVID. We saw the import of Sai Baba's message in COVID. And a classic example was someone who knew me from before, who was a Sai Baba and is a Sai Baba devotee, who said he was distraught. He was an actor and things went down south very fast during COVID. And being a Sai Baba devotee, he was searching for a helpline. And that turned out to be the series of videos which Nikhil and I did for the channel. And by, we realized that in this age, through COVID, Sai Baba's teachings were more relevant than before, perhaps. So that is what took it further. Once the pandemic was over, the explorations continued beyond that, because people were wanting to know more about this master's teachings. And so we tried to go behind the stories, behind the miracles, to what lessons was Baba trying to convey to a simple audience, an audience which was perhaps prone to bhakti more than gyan, and yet Baba said, I give people what they want so that they may want what I really want to give them, which is Brahma Gyan. So his intention was pretty clear. To me, it was always clear. It was not just the miraculous events that transpired with people, but the subtle ways he delivered the message, and those sensitive enough during his incarnation on earth who were there absorbed that. So that kind of gave us the faith to go ahead with this exploration. And on a personal note, for me, since I follow the path of Advaita, and one of the big influences in my life has been Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi, when I found out that two people who were disciples of Bhagwan were directed by Bhagwan to Sai Baba. One was Arthur Osborne and the other was Narasimha Swami. Then I felt that this exploration of Baba's Advaitic teachings was on the cards. That gave me the confidence to personally dive deep into this, and also a memory that when I had written an essay on Sai Baba's teachings for a spiritual magazine called Life Positive. My own guru read it and passed a comment which stayed with me. He said, "You didn't explore it deep enough." And I felt, would life give me this opportunity in the future to go in for a deeper exploration? And that is precisely what presented itself. So this is the background. These are transcripts of about 55 talks. And another interesting thing to add here is that when I suggested to the publisher, Jeko, that 55 talks make it quite a big book, and they would be free to reduce the number of talks as they feel fit. I would be okay with that. They thought about it and they said no, because which talk impacts whom we don't know. So how will we decide what to remove and what not to remove? So I appreciate their willingness to go with the original thought process and support it and take it onward to the world through their network, their reach. And this is where we are today. Now, what I would request is, before we ask Nikhil to speak a bit about not only the book, but about his inspiration, about his channel, if we can begin with a song dedicated to Sai Baba, that would be beautiful.
Sainath, 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 तेरे हजारों हाथ, साईनाथ तेरे हजारों हाथ, जिस जिसने तेरा नाम लिया, जिस जिसने तेरा नाम लिया, तू हो लिया उसके साथ। साईनाथ, साईनाथ, साईनाथ तेरे हजारों हाथ, साईनाथ तेरे हजारों हाथ। इत देखो तो तू लागे कन्हैया, उत देखो तो दुर्गा मैया, इत देखो तो तू लागे कन्हैया, उत देखो तो दुर्गा मैया। नानक की मुस्कान है मुख पर, शान मोहम्मद भी है मुख पर, शान मोहम्मद भी है मुख पर। साईनाथ, साईनाथ, साईनाथ तेरे हजारों हाथ, साईनाथ तेरे हजारों हाथ। राम नाम की है माला, गौतम वाला तुझ में उजाला। राम नाम की है तू माला, साईनाथ तेरे हजारों हाथ, साईनाथ तेरे हजारों हाथ। तेरा दर है दया का सागर, सब मजहब भरते हैं गागर। तेरा दर है दया का सागर, सब मजहब भरते हैं गागर। पावन पारस तेरी आग, तेरा पत्थर कण कण राग, तेरा पत्थर कण कण राग। साईनाथ 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 तेरे हजारों हाथ, साईनाथ तेरे हजारों हाथ। जिस जिसने तेरा नाम लिया, जिस जिसने तेरा नाम लिया, तू हो लिया उसके साथ। साईनाथ 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 तेरे हजारों हाथ, साईनाथ तेरे हजारों हाथ।
Thank you.
The whole essence of Baba is in this bhajan. It's just love. The teachings are for us intellectuals, but they are far higher. So, thank you. As Gautam shared a little bit about how the recordings happened and how this beautiful book has come into being, and it's no coincidence, it's the 10th, and we're here together. And it's the first time I'm seeing the book, so he's put a lot into it. Thank you, Gautam. You said something very beautiful earlier, that the relevance of Baba's teachings today. And I would just like to share something on that. That one of the paths Baba has showed us through his own example is that of seva, karma. And from the vantage point I have, I could say as a publisher, I silently observe people due to the nature of my work. And I can see, sadly, there is an increment of a lot of mental trouble people have today, especially after COVID. You know, as Gautam shared that example, it was not an isolated case. There are many, many cases like that. So much so that even devotees' faith has been tested in these times. But I feel what Gautam said, the relevance, that Baba, through his own example, has showed us something very important, very simple, and very profound. That service is the path. Someone who's engaged in service, you know, has got a very simple thing to look at. Like when you wake up in the morning, if you look forward to something, to serve others, be it animals, people, anybody, it's very unlikely such a person would be depressed. And in a very simple way, Baba's teachings all come down to this. And Gautam, if you could share a little about this aspect.
Yes. See, it's very interesting. When we serve others, the spotlight is no longer on me and my story, because that is what is consuming and what puts me into depression. So there are two things here. One is when I engage in seva, and seva is selfless service with no direct benefit or gain, material, direct material benefit or gain, it is unselfing me. It is diminishing the me because now the focus is the other. But the beauty of this mechanism is what I give out, I get back. And I find that in seva, in service, the universe responds to me. But the first step needs to be taken by me. That is why the masters say we are programmed to receive love. We want to be loved, but it needs to be reversed because our nature is to be loving. We have to rediscover that. So as we give, so we get. And there is, as I mentioned on the first day in the Tibetan course I studied, the fourfold law, which simply says you give in one direction and you get returns from four directions. So you see, now it may be very simplistic. Baba says seva, but there is so much depth behind this simple statement. We don't realize it. We may just say, oh, I'm not inclined to seva. Oh, I'm too busy. Now, a master is not going to force his view on you. He's going to live by example, and he will express his view maybe once or twice. Now, it is up to us whether to really listen. You see, that is why I say there's a difference between hearing and listening. Most of the time we are hearing. When we hear, all our preconceived notions and conditionings are hearing. We already know our reply. But when we listen, then there's an opportunity. Then the mind is not second guessing, is what this master saying right or wrong? Does it really apply to me? That is the analytical mind which has kicked in. So as Nick said, someone who's approaching Baba in this case with heart is not going to have a problem receiving the message. Baba says serve, okay, let's serve. The thinking mind has not got a chance because of the bhakti to figure it out, that what is in it for me. So I think that is what is really, so this is it. You know what we have done over the past years, because we have also mutual teachers and masters we've admired on the path, like Eckhart Tolle is one of them, Rameshji of course, Ramakrishna Dev is another one. So we have delved into all this to bring out Baba's teachings, because this is the modern idiom of expression. Baba dropped his body in 1918, if I'm not mistaken, and we are 100 years down. So when people relate to the words we use based on today's expression, what today's masters have said, it becomes more relatable because expressions change with time. So given our backgrounds, that is precisely what we have done with our influences. We have kind of gently tried to push this teaching forward so people understand it better.
Another thing is, today, in context to what Gautam was saying, we are also in an era where there's too much information. There's so much that I think the book, for a serious-minded person, will help you reflect. You can make markings, underline certain lines, and spend time with it. which otherwise, yes, it's convenient to hear a podcast when you're on the go, but certain things, or like, see, what does Gautam bring? Like when I know Gautam about 17 years now. Is it? It goes back a long time. Uh, when I met him initially, he was very reluctant to do any video at all. He didn't want to do anything. And I said, no, Gautam, something you bring, which I see, is you bring clarity for somebody. You bring it in a very simple manner, which is relatable and you can apply it in one's life. And what I foresee is people from various paths, be it Vipassana or anything, would be drawn to this clarity that you can share. And I literally forced him, it started here in the apartment in Goa, to start the recordings, and that's how his YouTube channel had started. But coming back to this book and the transcripts and why they are important is because certain things Gautam has shared might sound very simple when you hear it, and of course it has an effect on you. But when you take it, underline it, reread it, it's going to have an impact over time. So I would recommend you spend time with this book. And if you already practice journaling also, that's something that can go hand in hand, where you can ask yourself these questions, that what did I learn from this podcast or this talk of Gautam's? And not just with Baba's teachings, even when Gautam shares something or in a satsang, because that holds you accountable. Like that 1 hour I've spent hearing something, what have I learned? You will take the teachings very seriously. So this is something I would recommend. You can try it for a week or two and see if it helps you.
I would like to add here that Nikhil has discovered lost books on Sai Baba and republished them. That is a tremendous effort. Of course, it's easy to say, and it is also true, that nothing happens without the will of the master. But being a publisher, I know the effort that goes behind one book. So he needn't have to tell me his trials and tribulations, because it has been a job to get in touch with publishers who don't exist anymore, authors who are no more in the body, and bring this all together under one roof so that it is preserved for future generations. So one aspect is the Sai Baba channel, and the other aspect is this endeavor to preserve the teachings of Sai Baba, the authentic original teachings, and not now what we have done is frankly an interpretation. It is my conditioning, it is Nikhil's conditioning, but there were texts written earlier. So to bring those back, and when I look in retrospect, it makes so much sense, because when we were working on this book, we found a book, Nikhil found a book, I think it was called Scribblings, where the author in the start of the book says that in future there will be books which talk about the teachings of Sai Baba. So when I read that, I said, now our work is validated, that even this was meant to come out. So we have carried that extract in the beginning of this book.
To sum it up in one line, the essence is love. When you hear the bhajan, so Baba says, where faith and love are together, there I'm enslaved, otherwise I'm not attainable. So I would just say this, that the essence, when I even say service, because, a very beautiful example, when we were in Tiruvannamalai many years ago, Gautam, me and some other person was there, and it was a very interesting leela, I can say, that happened. Sorry to diverge a little. So this lady was talking about, I think, oneness and certain things, and a dog came and she took a stick out of her bag. And me and Gautam looked at each other and didn't say anything. And Osho spoke on Sai Baba and said something like, there were many instances where someone would hurt an animal, a cat or a dog, and Baba would show, he said, I have the injury here. So, this is the highest expression of oneness. I mean, there cannot be anything higher. And it always reminds me of that incident in Tiruvannamalai. And I was with Gautam over there many years ago. This must be 15 years ago. But this is the highest expression of Advaita that Baba has shown by example. And when I said service in the beginning, when we feel that love for everyone, all beings, then you will experience Baba's presence, because you will not look for his darshan in his form. You will see him in everything. And over time, you will also notice that things that would otherwise bother you, sting you, cause reactions, subside. So this is a very, very important thing Baba showed through these leelas. And for those who are not familiar with Baba, one book I would recommend reading is the Sai Satcharita. It is translated by a lady called Indra Kher. It's slightly big, it's about 400 pages, but it's full of these leelas. So, like when Baba shows that, he's injured when someone injured an animal, as Gautam shared in all these talks, that there is much behind these stories. They're not as simple as they seem, or, but when we begin to look and ponder, you will see like there are lessons, jewels for us to take, and it does take a little bit of reflection. So, talking of Advaita, and whenever I would speak to Gautam, because with Gautam everything needed convincing, to get him to even talk about Baba was not easy. But I do feel that, especially for devotees in the West, it is Baba's teachings, I feel, have not even come out. So what Gautam shared about the book Scribblings, maybe in time, Gautam, you could speak more about the Advaitic teachings of Baba through these leelas Baba has shown.
Yes, I mean, I would love to.
I'll get a public commitment.
I mean, the foundation of Advaita, the word itself means not to. And what would be a higher form of Advaita than Baba showing an injury mark on his body when someone hurts an animal? So Nick is quite right that yes, Advaita can be intellectual because it is Gyan Yoga, right? We follow it through the path of knowledge. There's Kriya Yoga, there's Bhakti Yoga, there's Karma Yoga, there's Gyan Yoga. But the essence can get missed in Gyan Yoga if it is coming only from the left brain analytical mind. So this one consciousness, which is basically not to Advait, the expression is clearly Baba being Baba, experienced hurt as his hurt. So simple. So anyone who is established in Advaita would feel the other's hurt as theirs, because there is only one. So clearly it comes down to love. Now the Sufi way is also the way of love. And I have had sufficient interactions with the Sufi masters of Kashmir to understand that. And the mind which has been brought up today with today's conditioning is analytical. The essence of love, which I feel was probably stronger years earlier, it was simpler, it was stronger. This fight for survival for me and mine has kind of shadowed that love. And the exploration of Baba's teachings, Leelas, will certainly point to love only. You see, it must have been so radical in that era when someone like him called the holy place Dwarkamai. Can you imagine what a ruckus it might have created then between Hindus and Muslims? So, this unity, this message of unity consciousness, he has been doing through all his actions. But the point gets missed. That's why the master has to reiterate it in different ways. It's incredible. And there's more disruptive thinking today than ever. There's more opposition today. There's more polarization today than ever, not only outside but within ourselves. Mood swings, switching between left brain, right brain all the time. That center has been lost. And to rediscover that center is a journey. If anyone would like to ask Nick any questions, you're welcome to do so. Take the mic, yeah?
How your love story started with Baba?
I met this devotee of Baba, and it began when I met her. So prior to that, I had only heard about Baba. In fact, I would spend a lot of time in Tiruvannamalai. And when I met her, I didn't have a choice because her husband had told me that she's very close to Baba and you should see her. And I was going to meet my Guruji, and she said, "When are you going to come back?" And she spoke Marathi. My Marathi was not that great. So she said, "Tu ikde kadi yenar?" So I said, "I'm not sure, about 2 weeks." And she told me 3 times, "Tu Daseracha divshi ikde, you will be here on the day of Dasera." And I said, I don't know when Dasera is. So I took her leave, took her blessings, left. When I was in the ashram, usually we would not touch our phones, but I had a very strong feeling I have to go see it. I don't know, it was very strong. And I went upstairs and I, right enough, had a message from home that aunt has passed away, please call. So I called. My aunt who lived with us had passed away. I came back, and at the airport I noticed not a soul is there. And I see it is the day of Dasera. It was a holiday. And then I came, met I, and thereafter, I realized there is a pull, and I would say Baba pulled me. So it was through that.
Because of you, I got light of my life.
All Baba's ways, are.
That time was in my life was very, very difficult. And somehow there was turmoil, my goodness. So I said, Baba can only save me. So I started Sai Sai, and this pop up this Sai Baba devotee speak. And that was the perfect time. I used to go on terrace for walk. And I say, I don't know who is this banda, Gautam ji, but unki आवाज से ठंडक होती है. So my mother used to say, "Tu to Baba wali." I said, "Of course, Baba, but kuch hai." Still, I'm having that goosebumps. So Gautam ji, in a way, has saved me. Of course, Baba was the one. I don't want to leave my Baba at all. So with his voice and this thing, I don't know what Gautam ji's voice and calmness has done in my life. So big thanks to you too. Because of
All
you, I got
Baba.
Gautam ji.
But ask him about I and the start of the YouTube channel.
Yeah, that also I would like to hear that.
Yes.
And so now, of course, Baba is everything. But still, whenever I get some trouble or something, I just want to put Gautam ji's voice. And I feel like calm down, teaching. So thanks to you, Baba, the light of my life. Thank you, Gautam ji. Thank you, Nikhil ji. Of course, Baba.
All Baba, all help, all help. So about the channel, what Gautam mentioned, at the time, honestly, I felt I mean, when you read the Charitra initially, it's all about miracles, and this is why what Gautam shares is very important. I found myself coming from Tiruvannamalai, Bhagwan Ramana's teachings. I said, what am I getting into? And Gautam told me, he said, no, Nick, you may not be a Baba devotee now, but do a recording with I. Other devotees of Baba will be benefited by this. So he arranged for a very kind person who came. She spoke Marathi. She came from Bombay. And we did the first recording with I. And that we titled Sai Baba's Devotee Speaks. So that formed the channel. And thereafter, there were more episodes, and then we met other devotees. So, yeah, Gautam's been involved right from the start.
I would like to add here that I have met I also with Nick. Because what I felt intuitively, because he was here in Goa, I was in Bombay, and it was an intuition that I drove him forward to meet I. But when I met her, it confirmed for me that it was destined, predestined, that he meet her. And I remember that the first time I met her, we went to her house. He was parking the car, so I was standing on the road. And then he took me in. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that when we met, she told Nick that I know him. Something like that, right? Yeah. So, and that house is so simple. The bhakti is so simple. See, my whole parampara was a kurta pajama parampara, as I call it. Nisardatta Maharaj, Ramesh Balsekar. Because they didn't want any projection. People were coming to them for the teaching. So simplicity was always ever appealing to me. So when I entered that house, very modest, simple people, simple bhakti, I always feel that when things are simple, one is in the right place. That was the essence which I got from that first meeting. I must add here that I'm a bit biased towards women gurus. Not that she considers herself a guru. I consider her level of bhakti to be so much beyond the ordinary that she is a guide to people, whether she considers it or not. That's my definition. Guru is just a guide, right? So I was a bit biased because I had been influenced by Anand Mahima. In Kashmir, there's Lal Ded, who was a very big master. Then my own mother's journey. So I kind of, when I saw I felt that this is the start of something which can last long. See, let's not forget that when Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi's mother dropped her body, Ganpati Muni told him that we will make a Mahasamadhi for your mother, and that will be the start of the ashram. So this force, this feminine force, this Shakti, I kind of, when I see it, I feel it's something solid. And by God's grace and Baba's grace, it turned out to be so, you see, because Nick has interviewed so many people on his channel since then, and so much has happened, so much. And he has used technology, the modern expressions of communication, to propagate this message. And it was, in any endeavor, there are challenges. There will always be. It wasn't a piece of cake thinking it's all ordained, so it's like really flowing and all. There are challenges, but those challenges are met on the ground of grace. And that is how this has become what it has become.
Can I share something funny about your life?
Well, I shall decide whether it stays in the recording or not.
Okay, you have that leeway. So I've had the privilege of knowing Gautam for, I think, 17 or 18 years. And when I would go to his home, and he was very particular about time. He would say, "I'll meet you from 8 to 8:30. We'll meet at the CCI club and then I have to go somewhere." I said, "Fine, no problem." So we would sit, and once I was at his home, and he opens a drawer and he shows me Baba's idol. So I said, "Why is it inside the drawer?" He said, "No, no, this master is very strict. I've seen with his disciples, he puts them through tremendous tests. So Baba's inside." And at that time, I didn't know much about Baba, but I laughed inside. I said, "Let's see in time what happens." So when this work began, then every time I talk to Gautam, I remind him about this. And I say, "See, you know how Baba has sort of turned things around." And today Gautam is doing Baba's prachar. So,
That is true. It was. It is back in the altar, but I kind of am still wary of it.
see, Baba has put you in the drawer now.
But I'll tell you, my closest school friend, Harsh is his name. He is a big Baba devotee. So we had a routine that every Thursday we would go to one restaurant in Bombay for dinner. And then near that restaurant was a very famous Sai Baba temple in Bombay. So every Thursday I knew this was the routine, which was quite all right. The temple was 10 minutes from the restaurant. So I didn't mind. But one fine day, it was his birthday coming. He said, I want to go to Shirdi. I said, wonderful idea. He said, no, but you need to come with me. I said, fas gaya. That was my first thought. So I have been fussed out by Baba for a very long time. I was forced to go to Shirdi and I was very resistant to it. Whatever I would say, then, best friends blackmail, right? You can't do this for me and all that stuff. So I was taken repeatedly by people who wanted to go to Shirdi and I could not say no to them. So, so I have had a kind of what I thought was a fragmented relationship with Baba, and it stems from the childhood experience when I would pray to him because my father used to take us to Shirdi. And so I kind of, when my father passed, I said, what was the use of all this? Like a child consciousness would think, right? A direct cause effect relationship. We've been coming to you, I've been praying to you, and this is what you do. Now I can see that as a child, as a youngster, I processed so much at the start of my life's journey, which has perhaps brought me where I am today. And see, the honest truth, as I said it in the retreat, is suffering is the doorway. Suffering is the doorway. When we experience setbacks in life, we remember God. Till then, everything is fine. And so I kind of myself have a soft spot for those who have seen early setbacks in life because I can relate to that. And then it's really true that it is only our perception which distorts truth. And when this is realized, then one becomes open. So thankfully, and I would give this thanks to my parampara, that opening happened to explore this master who has been with me since childhood. Because you see, my mother says that when I was born, I was taken, and I have this memory as a baby that my eyes are being transferred from my parents to Baba's feet at the Samadhi and brought back. They used to do this in those days. They would take babies and touch them at the feet. But that memory stayed with me. So even more so, I'm convinced that everything is destined. It's just uncanny. It's really uncanny.
I would like to add on Rinanubandhan here. The fact that as a child you were taken to Baba also shows a former relationship of some sort with Baba, that you are this involved in the teaching and the prachar also stems from something we may not know.
Sure.
But as you've always spoken of Rinanubandhan, and I also feel when we honor Rinanubandhan, which means former ties, like we are all here because there is some former relationship, otherwise we would not be here together. And when we see every interaction life brings us, and we honor that even if it is unpleasant, from the understanding that this stems from the past. So suppose someone comes up to you and there is something which is not very pleasant, you can at least look at it with this understanding that maybe this is something from the past. I will just honor it and let it happen without reacting. So Gautam shed a lot of light in the series, and it's in the book on Rinanubandhan, and he said this is something specifically Baba has shown through examples, many leelas. So those familiar with Baba's teachings, where he will suddenly see, it may sound very random, two lizards on the wall, he'll say they are sisters. So it may be like, oh, this is a bit eccentric, what is it? But it is not necessary. We have the good fortune for a human birth each time. And this also, if we read Baba's Satcharit, so there are many things it sheds light on, that things we may otherwise take for granted. One is human birth, the opportunity, as they say, to have a human birth, to come to a master, to be in the master's service. If these three prerequisites are fulfilled, it's very likely you can make spiritual progress. Without these three, it's not possible. So Gautam shed light on this in a very clear manner, on Baba's teachings being very specific, like it's bringing the concept of Rinanubandh and honoring it.
See, Rinanubandhan, not much has been spoken about or written about. And I found this a constant theme in Baba's Sai Satcharita. And Rinanubandhan is relationships, the bondage of relationships. My master spoke about relationships. So it was like a perfect fit. Baba's stories about seeing, I think it was some sheep in a flock, and he said, I know these two and I want to buy them. So it was so clear that this master's focus was the repayment of debts of prior births. And my teacher's focus was daily living means relationships. So for me, it was so easy to speak about this because they came together effortlessly. So Rinanubandhan is an oft repeated point in this book. In all our interviews, somehow it pops up because it is the resolution of relationships which is the key. And like I always say, there are three kinds of relationships: relationships with others, relationship to what happens in my life, pleasure or pain, and relationship with myself. And this is all beautifully covered by Sai Baba. But now, to backtrack, once I had gone with Harsh, we used to go abroad also together to London, way back, before I knew Nick. So we have similar interests, and we heard of the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain, where there were these mediums who you would give them £5, go for a public session, and they would get messages for people. And one of them was very accurate. So Harsh and me went for the first time we went, we sat and he was giving messages to people, and he then came to us. And he said to both of us, looking at both of us, he said, you know, I see above you all Shirdi Sai Baba. I said, idhar bhi fas gaye. The first thing he said was, I see above you all. I said, you may have seen above him. He said, no, I've seen above you all. So the Master's grace is there. This proved to me that I may be ignorant about it, does not mean it's not there. And recently, I have been going to one particular shrine of a Sufi master. I've been 2, 3 times, and it is a shrine where I have directly felt in my heart something happen. So I have been going, and once I didn't feel that anymore. So I felt maybe the job is done and I don't need to go back. That is what my rational mind says. And I was in Kashmir and I was talking about this phenomenon to a peer. And his reply turned it around for me. He said, on the contrary, you need to keep going back. I said, really? Why is it so? He said, when you come under the shade of a big banyan tree, that protection is always on you. That grace is always on you. Whether you feel it or not is irrelevant. The feeling is transitory, transient. And so this is what I realized, that at least Sai Baba in my life was a silent presence, but he was always there through these examples I've given to y'all. And that is how it has become so integral to what I speak about. Because, yes, you see, because I found myself in a very unique position that I have been under many influences. Whether it is the Sufi tradition, I don't know any forms of zikr in Sufism, and I was given a seat in the Qadriya Silsila. I have a strong influence of Lord Gorakhnath, who is, one could say, an avatar of Shiva. I have a strong Advaitic influence. All these are there, a very strong Tibetan influence. So perhaps this has been an opportunity for me to share various perspectives. But coming to Sai Baba, it is very clear that this guiding light has been there since I was young. So, I mean, none of us fool ourselves thinking we are doing this work. I mean, it would be foolish. It is, if a project is not meant to happen, he will not make it happen. If it's meant to happen, only he can make it happen. So we just go with the flow. That's what we've been doing. Of course, he's been doing it much more because there's so much more content. So many more people he has met who are Sai Baba devotees. And his job is not easy because he has had to also separate and find the gold in the dust. That is not easy because that takes discretion, that takes neutrality, objectivity, because after all, the responsibility is to pass on authentic messages. And as we know today, there's a lot out there which is inauthentic. So it has been challenging. He shares with me whatever he has gone through, his understanding, he's gone through his own realizations. And that can still only happen if it is Baba's will. See, it reminds me of Jnaneshwar. When he called Eknath Maharaj, and that dream happened, and he saw that Eknath saw that Jnaneshwar was being choked while he was in Sanjeevan Samadhi. And Eknath Maharaj said, I just wanted a ruse to get you here. The reason I called you is because my Jnaneshwari has been distorted over time, and I wanted to revert back to the original. So, to try and make sure that whatever is being presented is not a distorted version, but as close to the original teachings, it does take effort. It's not easy peasy. It's not that things have fallen into his lap. They have come his way, but then that sadhana is to ensure that one is doing justice to it and bringing it out in its purest form. It's very important. I often give the example of someone I know who, if he is given dakshina in cash, He can smell it and he returns it when he knows it's dirty money. Now, for him, that is his way of ensuring that the streams are pure. I've just given an example for that. He has the siddhi, you could say, of sensing which money is not clean and which money is clean. And so similarly, it has become a job today. Like, for example, there are so many fake photos of Sai Baba in the market. People don't know it, but they are worshipping fake photos. So to find out which are authentic Sai Baba photos, to present them as these are the only authentic Sai Baba photos is a job which he has done. So on his website, you will find that these are the authentic Sai Baba photos. Lot of effort. So while we may say it's not my effort, but that seva bhav, I feel is immense. Because it's only that. That is seva bhav to me. It's not working.
I wanted to ask Nikhil about since Baba came much later in your life and he's not in the body, how do you know that? Not how do you know, but what does service mean? Like, how does one understand what service should be in that case? And even when a guru is in the body, what does service mean? And connected to that is what really is bhakti in our everyday practice to the guru to the guru.
It's a very beautiful question. I would first like to talk about this could apply to any master. Serving your guru, whether your master is in body or not. See, I had the great fortune of meeting my Guruji and being with him for 10 years, Pujya Dharamdas Baba. And in those 10 years, I would go to him maybe 3 or 4 times a year for a few days. And I realized most of the time, by just remembering your master, thinking of him, you are connected with your master. So the thing is, when your master leaves his body, which is an instrument of God, so that you can focus your energy and connect with the divine. See, if Baba never took a form, like they say in this era, why is bhakti important? Because it's not very easy when we are so identified with our own body, our fears, our desires, to connect with the formless. It's not very easy. So that has been my personal process when my Guru was in body, and the same applies to Baba as well, that having darshan of Baba in a dream or in person, sakshatkar darshan, or being in your Guru's presence, that even if you are, very few people are that fortunate, like even Baba's Mahabhaktas, very few were those that were with him all the time. Most of them lived in other cities, came for a few weeks in a year. But I feel that true connection is when you yearn, remember. So when that feeling is there and you want to, or you make that effort, then one is the connection remains. Naturally, when you come to your master, you automatically want to render service. As Gautam says, as per your temperament, like he rendered the publishing seva to Rameshji because he was a publisher, that was his skill. So, as per your temperament, whatever you wish to, it happens automatically. So, specifically in Baba's case, it was in 2015 when I had come to Shirdi for the first time, and as I said, I would spend a lot of time in the Ramana ashram. And I found all the books, all the teachings very neatly organized. There were devotees there who would very kindly explain to people that read this book, this is what, So if you're new, you have someone guiding you properly. When I came to Shirdi, I saw flocks and flocks of people there, but there was no proper library, someone who can hold your hand and say, okay, this is the book you should read first, then read this, like read Incredible Sai by Arthur Osborne, then read the Satcharit. There are two versions of the Satcharit. There's the abridged one and the full one. You could start with the abridged, but make sure you read the full. Even that much, there was no one. I went to the library, I went to the bookshop, but there was nothing. And then the feeling arose, and at that time I would not even say I was Baba's devotee, that I said, for such a great master, how can we not have a library? At least this we should have. That was the feeling that arose. That coming from Bhagwan Ramana, such a great master, how can this not be present? And that was the feeling from which it began, and Baba got it done. So I was not Baba's devotee, but I said, for Baba, at least this has to be put together. So that is how House of Sai happened. And then I met a great devotee of Baba's called Dr. Vinny Chitluri. She spent around 30 years in Baba's seva in Shirdi. And she gave me a list of books that the Mahabhaktas had written. And I said, they are not available. It's very difficult to get access to this. So over about 5 or 7 years, we procured those, got them back into print, put a Kindle library. So all these books are available as free downloads on House of Sai. And then with it came the photographs. So coming back to your question, I think it was very simple. If it just comes to that one thing, the feeling, like, what can I do? And I'm built as a publisher. In fact, I met Gautam initially for publishing. Gautam runs a publishing house called Yogi Impressions. And I too had a publishing background, and we had a common friend. So I actually met Gautam initially for publishing work. Thereafter, the connection went forth. But it comes down to this one thing, that feeling, like, what can I do? And then the master himself gets it done. I mean, over the years, I can't say I have done anything. It's all his grace. But yes, I distinctly remember it was that very strong feeling standing there in Shirdi saying, how can this not be there? Like, it needs to be. And I didn't know what, how, but over the years, it then fell into place by his grace. And sometimes that feeling may arise, which is natural in bhakti, that, oh, I would like to have Baba's darshan, or, like you feel that pining happens. But I always remind myself of this, that even the Mahabhaktas were with Baba for maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks in a year. But rest of the time, how were they rooted, like connected to Baba? Faith. I mean, those devotees of that time, as Gautam said earlier, simple-minded, absolute faith. And Baba has said, where his Leelas are sung, when even we were doing the bhajan, you can then immediately feel Baba's presence. So wherever Baba's Leelas are sung, the recitation, satsang happens, Baba's presence is clearly felt. So for me, that becomes a great remembrance of the Mahabhaktas, taking inspiration from them. So to me, it doesn't matter whether Baba left his body, did not. It's this sentiment, and I would say faith. That's the crux of it.
I want to add here about Dr. Vinit Chitluri. I never got the chance to meet her, but we both were aware of each other through him. And what touched me, she was a historian. And it's very important to retain a historical account rather than distorted accounts of things. So, which is the work she did. But if I'm not mistaken, Nick, in spite of not having much money, she would take people around Shirdi to the spots Baba would visit. Now, that also costs money and time. But I don't know of a higher expression of love than someone who's a historian, who has a specific task, but who also feels that she must share the other spots which Baba was associated with in Shirdi with strangers. That was very moving to me.
For 20 years, she was a doctor based in the US, and she was fortunate as a child. She was taken to Narasimha Swamiji, who Gautam mentioned, that Bhagwan Ramana sent two devotees, Narasimha Swamiji and Arthur Osborne, to do Baba's prachar. She was 6 years old at the time, and her mother was gravely ill. And they heard that Swamiji has come into town and he gives people Baba's Udi, and many people are miraculously healed. So they said, we've tried everything, why not try God? And they went to meet him. And he asked her father, Mr. Prabhu, that what do you want? Do you want a promotion? Do you want fame? Do you want money? He said, see, I can have everything, but I will not get a mother for my children. Please heal her. So he gave Udi and a mantra. And when doctors had given up hope, they told him, the family, that take her home, there's nothing that can be done. Within a week, she was up about running around, and they were quite taken aback. And as a little child, she was fortunate to sit in his lap. She even met Daskanu Maharaj. And you see the seeds of Rinanubandhan, the seeds of prachar. A 6-year-old child later on in life, in her 50s, comes to India, stays there for 30 years. And as Gautam said, to take people summer, rain, every day, to take people in and around, only arises from that seva bhav. Selflessly, she and her son still continues it, Sada. And when I was very fortunate to have met her, and we did a lot of recordings on Baba's Mahabhaktas, and through her videos, so much, has been recorded, otherwise it would have been lost.
And this seva bhav, see, you can only take people, strangers around if you love people. You cannot not like people and do this. It won't happen. So for me, this becomes an example of living the master's teachings. It is very fluid and effortless. She didn't grudge the fact that it was her love to serve others, not just her master, because she saw her master in others. So simple. So that is what drove her. It was actually your good fortune, but I didn't get that chance to meet her, but I did visit her home. Nikhil took me there after she passed, sat there for some time.
She taught me how to hold the mala. I was sitting there. Kajal, how many times I can't tell you. I had to put this finger. It was the one that COVID time used to do me everything.
And I was happy to also find in her someone who was equally a victim of Nikhil's videography. And his get up early in the morning, get ready on time, everything is set, start.
2:30 a.m. we would start. And I think turning it back on to you, see, even Maharaj is laughing. Turning it back on to you, you should learn from her example. 2:30 a.m. in the morning, 74 years of age. Initially, she was very reluctant. No, get out of here. I don't want any of this. But once she agreed and we started, I have never met someone that committed to their master, because see, at that age, it's not easy to recollect so many facts, figures, so much data. Like, it was not easy for her. But her commitment, I would say, was unparalleled. Like, even in COVID, we did the whole commentaries where she spoke on the Satcharit, because I requested her. I said, Ma Hemadpant, the author of the Satcharit, had said, I would like to share many more Leelas and things about Baba's life, but for the fear of the book becoming very lengthy, I'm holding myself back. So I said, you are the right person, because for 30 years you've met the descendants of these Mahabhaktas, you've got all the research. An additional commentary would be very nice if you could do. So I said, one help we can render is we can go through your writings and give you some sort of outline so you don't have to do too much research. She said, then I'm happy to do it. And during COVID, during the lockdown, we had a commentary series of around 53 chapters. Most of them are around 40 minutes, 30 minutes in length. And again, even though we were away, 1:30 in the morning, she would get up, do the recording, and now that has come into a book. 5 years after it was an audio series, it's come into a book. And I think that is a shining example of when we talk of, serving the Guru. Uh, she was a great example of that, completely. Your commentary is also midway.
Baba willing, it will happen.
It will, it will. I like these gatherings where I can get public commitments from you. I'll come to all your satsangs.
Has there been a time when there has been an ask which you have not been able to fulfill?
Could you elaborate? I'm not sure I understood you.
Sometimes service may be beyond us or may not be possible because of other circumstances or other people. So then what is the way forward?
Over the years, what I've realized is Baba's fundamental teaching is Shraddha and Saburi, right? So I always remember, be patient. I mean, try your best, do everything, but I've realized here, even in seva, patience is key. Because, like as Gautam said earlier, sometimes it's not very easy to discriminate and know what may be right or wrong. But what I've realized in time will reveal the truth about a situation, person, place, or thing. So, from that aspect, I would say Baba's teaching on patience is critical. Like that, I would attribute it to that. So, there's no, as Baba himself would say, that if you do something, do it wholeheartedly or don't do it. So I would say that attitude I've always maintained, that whatever I do personally, I will do my best. But I've learned this one thing, I try to practice it more, that patience, just wait, because sometimes time will reveal the truth of a situation. So some things are not meant to be, and later on we realize in hindsight that, it was for the better. So Baba has given us something.
Siddhant, you wanted to ask some?
Living with faith and patience, I would like to understand what it truly means to living with faith, and maybe like something from Baba's stories or something you would emphasize on. What does it truly mean to live with faith? Is it like a thing where you surrender to Baba, you surrender to God, you trust that Thy will be done? Is it that, or is it deeper than that?
I'll give a very simple example. Let's look at what faith is first. Let's reverse it, where someone comes to you to ask you advice on something. I don't know what your profession is. If I may ask you, what do you do?
Finance.
Okay. So say you're a financial advisor to someone and they come and ask you that, hey, should I buy the stock or should I do something? And if you say to them, and you have a proven record, like they know you for some time, and you say, I would recommend you do this. If they have faith in you, as I said, you don't have faith in someone overnight, but if you've had a relationship with them for some time, you have a good proven record. But if they have faith in you, they are not going to question you or go to 10 people asking opinions. So, when we go to a master, be it any master, initially it's important to spend some time figuring it out. That's fine, it's understandable. But once you cross that point and you know this is my master, this is the path, then your master's word is law. Now, in Baba's teachings, I would say the synonym for faith is Kaka Sahib Dikshit. For those that are familiar with Baba's teachings, he was an advocate from Bombay, and whatever Baba said was law to him. So one day there was a sickly goat, and Kaka Dikshit was a Brahmin. So it was brought into Dwarkamai. Baba said, today we are going to cut it. So he asked one of the devotees, bring a what do you call that? Axe, yeah. So that man got scared, he ran away. Then Baba, it was a Leela of Baba's. Baba asked for someone else, he made an excuse and ran off. Finally, it came to Kaka Dikshit. And he picked it up and he was ready to do it. And then Baba stopped him. He said, what are you doing? You're a Brahmin and you want to kill this goat. And then Kaka Dikshit said something. He said, all these rules and regulations do not matter. What the Guru has said is law to me. So if you say cut it, I will cut it. And that one page I feel is life-changing in the Satcharit. Because see, initially, yes, you can spend some time understanding whether this master is authentic or no, which is also important. You can't just blindly trust someone. But once it's established, then your faith should be total. That if the master says something, even if circumstances or whatever may present itself contrary to that, to have complete faith that what my master says is always in the highest good for me and for all. It's an incremental process. And sometimes I would say even reading stories of examples like Kaka Dikshit increase one's faith, because you can learn from their examples. Like there was a devotee called Radhakrishna Maima, who is another shining example in Baba's Mahabhaktas. And a small book, in fact, Dr. Vinny had done. And her life too, I think, is worth studying, because regardless of the path, this one quality of faith, even Ramakrishna Paramhans would say, if you've got faith, you've got everything. And regardless what circumstance may present itself, to have absolute conviction that what my master says, then you become an embodiment of that. It's very few who reach there. But I would always reverse it and say, how do you feel? Like someone asks you something and you know immediately if they don't believe you. How do you feel? So just imagine how the master feels for you, the disciple, when you have total faith. So I always reverse it. That if someone asks me something and I know straight away they don't believe it, I will sort of withdraw and not say anything. But I feel even the master's love then begins to pour to those devotees after the tests and tribulations, when that faith is present in them.
See, I just want to complete this because what Siddhant has asked is very relevant today. I have seen it myself. You see, you may think you have a master, but if you are going about asking the same question to whichever satsang you attend or whichever master you encounter, then it kind of exposes the fact that you don't have faith in the master. And this realization may not dawn that why am I going here and there and there and there and asking people the same questions? Because deep down I feel where I am, I'm not getting it. Then you have to be honest with yourself. Is this my master or not? So simple. This is a very complex situation today because there's so much on offer, there's so much available. We want everyone's perspectives and then we take that which appeals to us. In this situation, faith is a huge challenge. Huge. That is why Nisargadatta Maharaj said, you get water by digging not many shallow wells all over the land, but one deep well. So, fair enough if today's seeker is on a journey of exploration. I know I have gained so much by getting so many perspectives, meeting so many teachers, but I thank my stars that I had that one deep well. Other point is faith that what the master says is what is your word. When I went to my going to be guru, at that time he was not. And when he said simple things like thy will be done, nobody is the doer of their actions, I was very fortunate that I knew that was the truth. I didn't have to grapple with it. I didn't have to say, is he right? Or maybe he's wrong. I don't think everything is God's will. I didn't go down that road of doubt. So, in retrospect, I realized I had total and immediate faith in what he said because it was my life's experience. So, faith for me was luckily a default setting because there was no contrary view to what he was expressing. Today, what happens is, what I have noticed, many people who have gurus, who have teachers, guides, mentors, that guide or mentor's opinion is just one of many opinions they accumulate. And they keep accumulating more and more views till they create their own. I think this is a grave injustice to themselves. And so this quality, again, it is so true that in the simpler people who one word is enough, they don't need more convincing, they don't need to shop around, they don't need to explore everywhere. It definitely begets a deeper relationship based on faith with whatever they have tapped into, teaching or teacher, because it stops the mind from wandering like the mind loves to wander. And this faith, you see, the thing is, we want the faith that only good will happen to us with this master. Now, Sai Baba himself has said, people have to face their prarabdha, if I'm not mistaken. He has himself said that. The man, the embodiment who came as a man, God appearing as a man, talking to other men and women, saying that you have to face your prarabdha. So I feel that someone who had faith when they listened to these words through him in his presence, that is the realization that my faith does not depend on what happens in my life. That is the faith he was pointing to as far as I am concerned and what I got from his teachings. But yes, the Guru Kshetram is there, the field of consciousness is there. That becomes a protection in the sense that it mitigates the impact of the karmic laws one is subject to. One still has to face them, but one is able to face them with equanimity and calm. So that is my definition of faith, especially in today's context.
Can I add something?
Of course.
A few months ago, I was very fortunate to meet one of the descendants of Baba's Mahabhaktas. They live close to the Goa border in Maharashtra in a place called Banda. In 1918, a few weeks before Baba left his body, he gave a painting of his to this devotee and told him, hereafter don't come to me in Shirdi, worship me in your home itself. And while I was interacting with the descendants, they said at that time from here to go to Shirdi there was no direct mode of transport. It would take 7 to 10 days to go from here to Shirdi, and often they had to hitchhike on these lorries. till they reached the main village or Aata or something like that. And I was thinking, no phones, very limited means, they were very simple people. But that is faith, no communication, going, no travel itinerary, nothing. Come what may, sitting in lorries, spending a week to go there, then to come back. And some of the hardships they have endured are, that's why when the masters say in the earlier times, like those people truly had faith. Because see, today when we say, okay, we'll go to Mount Kailash or we'll go on a pilgrimage, there are certain conveniences we have. But in those cases, to go not knowing whether you'll come back or no, it's like you're putting everything on the line. And I really feel this, that to achieve something in life or even on the path, unless you put everything on the line, nothing is going to happen. So when you come to a master, you have to present yourself naked, put everything. You cannot, as Gautam said, go here, go here. Okay, initially for some time, yes. But I think today it would be very difficult to emulate those circumstances. But by the mere remembrance of these stories, seeing what they've gone through, those qualities will sort of imbibe. And that's why I often say that the lives of the great devotees of any master should also be studied, because God put them with the masters. So these leelas took place, and they were very fortunate. Not just with Baba, with Bhagwan, or any master for that matter.
Ramakrishna and his disciples.
He had a very beautiful devotee, Girish, who was a outstanding example of faith. So if someone studies Thakur Baba's life, he did everything possible wrong. I mean, he would drink. Anyone who's familiar with his life, but he was the one devotee that Thakur Baba said he doesn't need to do anything. His faith is so complete. God Himself will bring about a transformation in him, and it happened. So I feel these lives of the great devotees equally must be very respectfully studied, and they become openings in that sense.
In fact, in COVID, we did a meditation on faith on the channel, I think, which appealed to many people, which was, yeah, it was very beautiful. If those of you want to hear it, it is called the faith meditation.
So there are various aspects to faith. One is like faith in the master's word. The second is like jumping into the unknown. And the third is like kind of knowing it will all work out, if I could put it like that. Or is there more? Like,
I think that covers most of it.
I'll tell you something interesting. I was never big into mantras and all that stuff, but once we were going on a pilgrimage to Girnar, three of us, Nikki, me, and my friend Rohit. In the middle of summer, the thought came to go to Girnar, and everyone said, "You're mad because it is boiling hot." So I had this feeling that anything like this which comes, intuition must be followed through, because then you lose that momentum. So I said, "Chalo, let's see if a sign comes that one should go to Girnar." So I asked a friend of mine. He said, "Oh, my father has been to Girnar. So you call him up and ask him whether it's wise or foolish." So I called him up. Now I didn't know his name. I just knew he was my friend's father. So he said, "Gautam, I would not advise you to go in May to Girnar. It's too hot. Wait for the weather to change." I said, "Okay, uncle." He said, "Don't call me uncle, call me Ramesh." And Ramesh is the name of my guru. I said, "Guru has spoken that it's time to go," although he said it's not time to go. So we went. Now, the minute we started, I think in 10 or 20 steps, my two co-travelers gave up, if I'm not mistaken. You and Rohit, I don't know what happened on that mountain. He would keep saying the energy is like soup, it is so thick like soup. Now, I knew what drew me there was the Gorakhnath peak. It's called Gorakh Tong. So I said, I don't want to become like them. So I must start chanting Gorakhnath's name. So I started. And touch wood, I handled it so well. Then I realized that what is chanting? Constant remembrance. So it was just that constant remembrance which not only took me to the top, but urged them. I kept pushing them like 10 more steps, 10 more steps, 10 more steps. That is how it was done. So this is faith also. Only in my case, it was a kind of accidental faith. But to have this intentional faith all the time, I can really imagine what it could do. I don't see any other reason why we climbed that peak. It took hours and hours and hours, and it was like it is so deceptive because when you reach the Gorakhnath peak, you see like a inverted tooth. The peaks are like this. They are so close to each other. So when you are at the Gorakhnath peak, you feel, array, this is there. Little realizing you have to go right down and then you have to climb right up to the Dattatreya peak. So miraculously, we all made it and we made it back. Only thing is we had to have combi flam for a few days, I think, because our legs were going like this.
Gautam, I have a general question around this photograph. Why did we choose this particular photograph without Sai Baba's eyes? Because when we usually think of a master, it's the eyes we think of. And a connected thing, you said there are many fake photographs. Do fake photographs harm? Also, do the photographs carry the aura of the master? Even the paintings or the sculptures, do they carry the aura?
So I'll address the first one. Actually, this photo I saw at his home when I had gone for filming. I think it was last year. And I fell in love with this because all the other books of Baba have illustrations or photos of Baba's face. I didn't want this to be yet another one of those. But beyond that, there's a story, Nick knows it better, of the significance of Baba's hand on his foot. One of the Mahabhaktas has spoken about it, which he can share with us now. And I thought, since this is an exploration of the teachings, I want the cover to be a subtle, something to think about, something different, because this is a different exploration. It is not Baba's life story which is being explored. So, and yes, I did have a bias for this kind of what I call a Michelangelo look and feel. I found it very poetic, and that is why I chose it. But Nick can tell you more about this photograph and also the significance of Baba's hand on his foot.
See, as we were talking earlier, everything with Baba was symbolic, cryptic, through the Leelas. See, this is an interpretation given by a Mahabhakta. I would never say, it would not be appropriate ever to say this is the only meaning. Baba's two fingers, and this symbolizes the moon, which is the mind. Baba's two fingers take you past duality. So Baba has said that when you have faith and patience, just by focusing on here, he will take you. He says, no, when you surrender to me, I will take you past the seven seas. So everything in Baba's posture, like even in the other photographs, there's always a coconut kept and Baba's finger is pointing. It's saying, surrender here. So if we see Baba's paintings or photos, everything over there also is symbolic. So this essentially, Baba is again saying, surrender here, like I will take you past the seven seas. But all Baba wants is loving faith and total trust. That's all that Baba asks for.
And you see, why the rose on the foot? Why no other flower? Because the rose is the symbol of divine love. That was the core of his message. Now, the second question. The photo definitely carries the vibration of the master. So, a fake photo which has been manipulated, conjured up, yes, it can work too. If my faith is 100%, any form of the master is good enough. But an original photo retains the original vibration. So it's very simple. I gave the example of Jnaneshwari. One could say, as long as Jnaneshwari has been around in any form, no matter how much it is misinterpreted, if it is meant to work for someone, it will work. Then why would Jnaneshwar have bothered to bring back the original version of the Jnaneshwari after centuries? So that is the simple viewpoint I have of authentic photos and genuine works and authentic photos. Would you like to add anything on that?
You know, Baba's Mahabhakta Anna Sahib Gavankar, we did a series with Gautam. He, on the book A Jewel of Sai Devotion, he shared something very important. He said the very fact that Baba has allowed his photographs to be taken, there is a deep meaning in that, which means he wanted the worship to continue. Now, when Baba has given paintings with his very own hands to devotees just before leaving the body, I feel those paintings and the original photographs should have a special place in the heart of all devotees. And as Gautam said, and even from Baba's teachings, we see Baba in all. So when we come across a photograph that may be altered or created using ChatGPT, Baba pervades everything. But those certainly, at least this is my feeling, have a special significance, because as Anna Sahib said, that the very fact that Baba gave them and allowed them to be clicked, he's indirectly given us a cue that worship must continue. He's present with us in those, he's in everything, but it's easier for us to concentrate our bhakti. See, for example, there are certain feelings that you can, why is it that people have idols at home of Baba? There are certain things you can offer to a photograph, but there are certain things you can do with Baba's idol, like people deck Baba up so beautifully, so many things. So the thing is, Baba has allowed this, encouraged it. So it's for us to understand that these things that Baba has given, see, for at least in my understanding, this is a photograph of Baba's idol in 1954 before it was installed, because when it was sculpted by Talim, for which Baba gave Sakshatkar Darshan, because that man wondered, how will I've not seen Baba. He sculpted everything and he asked Anna Sahib that you saw Baba. Anna said, I saw Baba when I was 12 years old, I don't remember. Then Baba granted him Sakshatkar Darshan, showed him his face, and he sculpted it.
He kept coming in a vision to the sculptor so he could sculpt him correctly.
He could see Baba there, and then he did the sculpture, and that idol is installed in Shirdi in 1954. But the very fact that Baba did this Leela also validates what Anna Sahib said, that Baba is, see, it helps us concentrate our bhakti in that form of Baba. When we reach that stage where we are completely immersed with him inside, it does not, there is no distinguished thing. But this particular photo is very important because it's even before it was installed, it is taken from that original photograph when Talim had done the sculpting. So you see, there's no clothing or dress. It's a very, very beautiful and sacred image, and it came just a week before you had come home.
I see.
So the sculptor didn't have a photograph to.
He had the original photo, but the thing is, at that time, the photos were, I think the 6 by 4 inches, it was so small, but to sculpt such a 6 foot idol and get the details, like he said, I'm not able to do the nose and the mouth, which is the most important part. So he asked Anna Sahib, I'm not sure how to do it. You have seen Baba. And see Baba's grace that he saw the whole, like it was a dark room and there was a white light he saw, like a radiating white light in which Baba presented his image. And for a long time, so he could do the sculpting properly. And he even told him, hereafter, you will not do any other sculpting. So that was the last idol he did, Baba's idol, and thereafter his descendants too. But that was the last idol and the only one he did then.
And the rose is added as an illustration of God. Just for this book, or was had the photograph?
Sorry, she's so soft spoken.
The rose, is it for the book or is it in the photograph you have?
The photograph I received had it. I assume it came with someone has photoshopped it. That's what I felt. But as Gautam said, it's very symbolic. So I let it be. And we were considering whether to do a black and white or we let the color be. But the photo I got had it in red color.
So I suppose that is the sharing on this book. It's available. I've got a few copies here if anyone wants to purchase it. The QR code is there for GPay or any mode of payment. It's on Amazon. And please share this book with the people you know who are interested in this subject. We are going to do what we can to share it with Sai Baba groups the world over. And of course, the publisher is going to put in their effort to make this book known. And then we leave it to Baba to guide this book across the world.
There is something I would like to share. Many years ago, we ran a small group of, it was called Sai Mala, where we had devotees that were impacted by the work. I had created, like, it was like a Facebook group. So in that, there was a devotee who would make these doodles of Baba. And I encouraged her. I said, it's very nice. Please do more. And she said, no, I just do it randomly. I said, nay, it is very special. Continue. And she did. I think she did around 70 or 80. And that has come into a very nice journaling book 5 or 7 years later, which we've shared on House of Sai. I feel in particular for devotees who've been following this series and they get the book and they hear the podcast, to even journal with it would be a very helpful practice I would recommend. And that book is actually very sweet. So if you go to the website, I would recommend seeing, it's called Shirdi Sai, and it's got these very sweet illustrations of Baba, which are all Leelas of Baba in this pictorial form that came through. So for those interested, I would recommend also getting that and spending time with this book.
One more unique feature of this book is at the end of each chapter is a QR code which takes you to the video. Now you will find the words are different in the video because the written word is very different from the spoken word. But if a particular chapter appeals to anyone and they want to see our interview from which the transcripts were derived and edited, then you straight away just scan that chapter's QR code and you are taken there. So that's it, Nick. Thanks for being part of this Sangha and sharing your very deep love and inspiration for your master. I have always admired that level of bhakti, and I must say, in a very honest way, he is much younger than me, and when I met him first, I was a bit concerned because I felt he was a bit wandering. And to see a journey unfold in front of my eyes from where it was to where it is, because I have seen his whole story arc in the years I've known him. And I feel that for me it has proved the infinite potential in each and every one. That is what a guru sees. The individual who comes to a guru sees potential. They do not see the person where they are. And to see this potential flower like this, because his biggest influence till then was Ramakrishna Dev, which we used to speak about. And then to get signs and to know for himself that Sai Baba is his master in this incarnation has emerged before my eyes. Literally, to see the start of his work, how he started my work when the first series I did was Pointers from Ramesh Balsekar, which was my book, which through his perseverance became videos, and to see kind of a payback in the sense that I encouraged him to start this channel. He just had a camera, he self-learned everything, he was on his own. And by God's grace, I think it was even Meena Kapoor's video on your channel which gained tremendous views. Yeah, so the way it began was, I said, thank God, that it has begun with such encouragement from the divine. It was like a reconfirmation. And that is really, I must say, in full appreciation to see the level of input you have given to this work is very inspiring for everyone who follows your channel and for me to see how it has unfolded.
It's all grace, because honestly, when you even shared this, I almost can't relate to my own past. Like, I feel Baba's just erased everything. And I really wake up every morning and I realize, like, what, when you say everything is God's will, in action to realize that literally we are instruments and we are free when that realization dawns on us that whatever happens is not just the will of God, it's He Himself is doing. And I would say what gives me greatest joy is when I see the love for Baba in devotees, I would say to witness that is the greatest honor and, thing. I think that gives me most happiness. But yeah, I almost can't relate to my own life in that sense. I mean, I remember it now because you say, but it's all divine. It's all Baba's grace and blessings. And yes, that gives me great joy. And thank you, Gautam. You have been very patient with me. And ever since we met, I think I've pushed him so much. But I'm glad. I'm really, really grateful and very happy that with the videos, it all started in the apartment Gautam had here. And it's been a beautiful journey. I think over 15 or 17 years.
Can we close on a song?
Yes. Will you sing?
No. I'll sing if you sing.
If you sing, I'll sing.
मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मैं तो तेरे पास में, मैं तो तेरे पास में, मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मैं तो तेरे पास में, मैं तो तेरे पास में, मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे। नाही एकांत निवास में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, नाही एकांत निवास में, ना मंदिर में ना मस्जिद में, ना मैं काबा कैलाश में, ना मैं काबा कैलाश में। मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मैं तो तेरे पास रे, मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे। ना मैं जप में ना मैं तप में, ना मैं व्रत उपवास में, ना मैं जप में ना मैं तप में, ना मैं व्रत उपवास में, ना मैं किया कर में रहता, ना ही जोग संन्यास में, ना ही जोग संन्यास में। मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मैं तो तेरे पास में, मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे। खोजी हुए तो तुरंत मिलूं मैं, एक पल की तलाश में, खोजी हुए तो तुरंत मिलूं मैं, एक पल की तलाश में। कहत कबीरा सुनो भाई साधो, कहत कबीरा सुनो भाई साधो, मैं तो हूँ विश्वास में, मैं तो हूँ विश्वास में, मैं तो हूँ विश्वास में। मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मैं तो तेरे पास में, मैं तो तेरे पास में। मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे।
Thank you.
Sai Baba bolo, 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 दर्शन तेरे बोलो मैं कैसे, आंखें तेरी मन में जब बरसे, तेरा साथ हो तो क्या ही गम है, तुझे देखने को जी यूं ही तरसे। Sai Baba bolo, 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 Sai Baba, मीठे बाबा, प्यारे बाबा, मीठे बाबा, प्यारे बाबा, मीठे बाबा, साई बाबा, मीठे बाबा.
Thank you. Thank you.